Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. Yeah. I'm back. I'm back, not in one piece, not very successfully in one piece, but it's really good to see you guys. Let's see who's in the chat. I did this at the last minute. Old Sage Joe. Hi, Tony. I probably look so tired, and so I am. Vag and Kim and hi, Christopher. Hello. It's good to see you all. Yes. So listen, I threw a show together. Hi, BB. I threw a show together. I got back on Sunday, and no, this is not a rerun. This is me. Okay. Anyway, see that behind me? I took a lot of footage out of the plane, and that's actually the one of the seats on one of my trips. And I felt, a lot of guilt, Then I thought, well, if my ass wasn't in the seat, someone else's would be, right? Okay, so there you go. Good to see all of you. Yeah. No, I'm tired. I have a lot to talk about. But we're going to talk about capitalism as I'm thinking of it. We're going to talk about a lot. Whatever. It's going to be kind of free association, but basically because I did my taxes. Oh, yes. One day for the woman. Yeah. I know I saw that on my Amy thing. Yeah, I saw that. Am I bright enough? I didn't even do much with the settings. It's just good to see you guys. So what I did tonight was, well, I was in Florida. My stepfather passed. It was really emotional. But then, of course, you see a lot of family. And, the mug is too small. It's one I grabbed. Yes, Happy Women's Day. And, there's somebody that was here earlier. Kinky, if you're still here, I want you to write to me at environmentalcoffeehouse@gmail. Okay? All right. So I took my trip to Florida, and I went with my daughter. And my first ex-husband paid for the trip. It was his idea. He said, you have to go. We thought we would make it. And I didn't really know how sick my stepdad was, I really didn't. I just didn't. And he's pretty sick. So he died, and we had the memorial on Thursday, and my mom was happy. It was really emotional because they were amazing people. I've never had a relationship that was successful like that. And they were married, I guess 44 years, and not apart very often. Not really. So anyway, so that was in Florida, and as the stress was bad, I got sick, and I'm going to do a whole show on this toxic building syndrome, where I think I got an autoimmune from, but I literally had to call my rheumatologist because at night I was sleeping, and I don't know if any of you who might suffer from autoimmunes or anything, but see that light in the back of me? Okay, that's what my bones felt like. My bones felt like that. Yes, I know. That's how I feel. It was a horrible thing. I felt so much cognitive dissonance over this. And I try, but I couldn't. How am I going to get there? My mother lives in Florida. And actually, Tessa, somebody said to me, if your ass isn't in that seat, somebody else's is going to be. All right, so I come home. I'm sick. And, yeah, McPherson yelled at you saying that his flying was keeping the earth cooler via the aerosols after I criticized him. Thanks for keeping us cool. I didn't want to. But actually, I really do like photographing out the window. But I got pretty miserable. I mean, I was like my back, but this was bad. This was like a flare up. And I'm going to do some research on another show. I actually went to the doctor today. So that was a 3 hour, hour and a half up, hour and a half back, round trip. And I did ask him about sick office syndrome. And so I worked in a basement for 20 years, so I'd like to find out why this stuff happens because it was freaky as shit. And I don't like to take the medicine, but she put me on prednisone for 5 days. It was 20 milligrams, and today was the last day, and I'm a whole lot better. But it sucked. All right, so we're going to get into the show. So I come home, and, life is a challenge, but I'm going to say this. No matter how fucked up shit is, right? I don't live in Ukraine. I don't have to live in a bomb shelter. I have a roof over my head. I have, I can complain, and I do complain. I will complain. But I'm not in a war personally. And so my complaining is more, it's kind of humorous, I came home and the plane, we flew in and landed late on Saturday. So I went over to my girlfriend's house. I didn't even take my clothes off. I crashed on her couch. And when the daylight came up, I drove home because there's no way I'm driving home at night from the airport where there's, where I live, it's Deer Central, right? Completely Deer Central. And no, we're going to play that game. Mm-mm. So I didn't play that game. So I come home and lo and behold, we got the pouring rain. Lo and behold, you all went through that whole basement shit with me last year. Well, the whole other side is awful. It's so I come home to have to vacuum the water up, the towels, wash the towel, let the towels run. It just everything, right? Everything. But at least Jess and her son came and brought some wood up for me to the deck. So I've got warmth, which is good. Okay. So now that I've spent how many minutes bullshitting? 8 minutes and 46 seconds of idle, meaningless chatter. I know I had to do my taxes. Now, my situation is a little different than others, and at this year, because I had gotten what's called third-party sick pay after fighting for 2 years for a company that wrongly kicked me off of long-term disability, which was a benefit I should have had till 65. And I am messed up, and I proved it, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's not tax deductible. And the legal fees are not tax deductible. So I am fucked, actually. And the little guy who is on a Social Security disability, the little guy has to pay taxes on that also. So I did the taxes, and then it just wasn't me because I still have to file with the other one who was very angry. And so I started thinking about taxes, and then I started thinking, okay, what? Let's make fun of it because I can't even pay it. So what do they do? What are they going to do? Are they going to put a lien on my house? I mean, am I different than so many other people? I don't know. So I thought, all right, let me look up something funny. And I found this. So we're going to talk about this one. About why taxes suck. I think we can all enjoy this one. Why do taxes suck? And they really do suck. They suck the big one. And I am so like, so here we go. We'll start with this one. I guess I'll move myself to this side. It doesn't, you know what? Let's shut this guy off. It doesn't matter what political beliefs you ascribe to. No one honestly enjoys paying taxes. At best, it's like eating your vegetables. So tax dollars go towards good and necessary things. National defense. Oh, national defense. You know what? I'm going to do this early in the show. Let's give a rousing environmental coffee house flush of the day for national defense. Yay. All right. So, but it's like, all right, it doesn't make it enjoyable. It can be especially tough when you're running a business because you can't go through the year blissfully ignoring tax dollars being taken out of your paychecks. That's if you work, okay, blah, blah, blah. So here's 12 quotes. Let's go through the 12 quotes and let me get a little mood music. We'll do a little mood music with the 12 quotes. So number 1. No taxation without representation. Now, that's a slogan from years leading up to the American Revolution. Number 2, in this world, nothing can be certain but death or taxes. Benjamin Franklin. Number 3, the hardest thing in the world to understand is income tax. And of course, you guys realize we're talking about the United States. All right. If you drive a car, I'll tax the street. If you try to sit, I'll tax your seat. If you get cold, I'll tax the heat. If you take a walk, I'll tax your feet. The Beatles and Taxman. You know that one. If you drive, I'm not going to sing it. Okay. We have it on the best of our information that taxes will be relieved, but not until after your death. All right, here we go. Death, taxes, and childbirth. There's never any convenient time for any of them. Scarlett O'Hara and Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. And, okay, the difference between American parties is actually simple. Democrats are in favor of higher taxes to pay for greater spending, while Republicans are in favor of greater spending for which the taxpayers will pay. P.J. O'Rourke, and of course not the billionaires, right? And what is the difference between a taxidermist and a tax collector? The taxidermist takes only your skin. These are pretty good. I like it. Hey! Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, Humpty. It is less than that. Thank God. All right. Anyway, half of it. Income tax has made more liars out of American people than golf. The avoidance of taxes is the only intellectual pursuit that still carries any reward. Okay. And the taxpayer, that's someone who works for the federal government but doesn't have to take the civil service exam. That's Ronald Reagan. That's obnoxious. And what at first was plunder assumed the softer name of revenue. That's Thomas Paine. So there you go. That's my little thing on taxes. And I'm going to shut this. So I did that. So then I pulled up this idiot, Rick Scott from Florida. He's a senator now. He's the Medicaid's, the real scammer. I guess this guy was talking about him, but I guess he's got some kind of tax scheme going on, right? And let's see if we can hear this piece because he's on our all of our favorite station, Fox. Oh, okay. Let's see if we can hear this. System audio. He's talking to.
I'm not raising anybody's taxes.
Cipher.
But here's what's not fair. We have hardworking Americans. They're paying all these taxes. Our retirees pay them. Who's not? We've got some billionaires not paying it. And we've got people that want free government stuff, and they don't want to have any skin in the game.
I mean,
that's not fair.
If people pay like even $100
free government
taxes
stuff,
a year,
like me,
at least you
Security.
know that's what it is, paying taxes, and you don't want people to get bankrupt, obviously. But what is going on here with Mitch McConnell?
Okay,
He's obviously
we
been
don't
in
care
power.
about Mitch McConnell. So we're going on after looking at this cipher and to the comment, considering how his company ripped off Medicare and he's still got a huge golden parachute, he doesn't have standing to complain about free stuff. The idea that people who don't pay income taxes are getting a free ride is also false. He doesn't believe in people lifting people up. And I use this because it's illustrative of the fact that these people suck. Basically, they suck. And the rich ones, the billionaires, the big percentages, they don't pay. They don't pay. But people like me, well, hey, Smia, the people like me, they get screwed. I'm getting screwed royally, and nothing I can do about it. Nothing. All right, so that was that one, and I have another one, and I thought I would play this for you so I could stand up and take a little break and come back. And this was from Rebel headquarters, and I thought it was interesting. And then we're going to move off taxes because I'm sure, 26 people here, but I didn't announce it. So here we go.
A popular talking point, to be sure. Let's take a look at it. Fact check. Does the top 1% pay 90% of federal income taxes? No. In 2018, as an example, 97% of federal income taxes were collected from about half of the taxpayers, according to March 2020 Senate Budget Committee testimony by the Tax Foundation. Top half included people who had an adjusted gross income of more than $43,000. The top 1%, those earning $540,000 or more, accounted for 40% of the federal income taxes paid. Opinions are one thing, math is math, and numbers never lie.
So this TikToker by the name of Tom Powell Jr. actually does a really fantastic job of debunking a myth that rich people love to spread. And not even really just rich people. Lots of random people who love capitalism love to spread this myth. And it's the idea that rich people pay most of the taxes that are paid in the United States. Now, this is basically used to justify the idea that, oh, rich people pay enough taxes, we don't need to increase taxes on the rich people, because they already pay so much in taxes. But let's touch on a few things first. Not only is that not true, as this TikToker has demonstrated, but also, we need to recognize that when they say that they're mostly talking about federal taxes, if you look at things like state and local taxes, especially property taxes, you realize that poor people start paying an even bigger share of this. Like, for example, with property taxes, you could say, oh, well, landlords and homeowners are more likely to pay most of it, right? But who really is paying the property taxes? I mean, if a landlord is paying property taxes, but renters are really covering all the bills that the landlord has, then really the renters are the ones paying the property taxes. So if you factor in things like that, and then you factor in things like sales tax, you realize that the taxation system in the United States is actually fairly regressive, especially when you look at poor neighborhoods that are intentionally overtaxed in order to force them out of the neighborhood for gentrification, like what is happening right now in Detroit. But then there's another angle to approach this from. I mean, think about it. Why are rich people paying so much in taxes? Is it maybe because, hear me out, they have way too much money? Maybe it's kind of ridiculous that people have billions of dollars that they're paying taxes on. Maybe that is part of the problem. Another part of the problem is that a lot of taxes don't really get paid on the billions of dollars that rich people do have because, and this is really wild, the taxes that you pay on your earned income is actually a heck of a lot higher than the taxes people pay on unearned income. And a lot of people get really mad when you call it unearned income, but that's exactly what it is. The income that people get from the stock market is coming entirely from the work of other people. They are not doing anything to earn that money themselves outside of just putting money into an investment account. The money that people make by just sitting on it literally has a lower tax rate than normal income that you would get from working an actual job. And then there's the last angle to approach this from, which is to question what is the purpose of taxes. The truth of the matter is that taxes actually just serve to create demand for money. The government creates money kind of out of thin air. There's a little bit of ceremony and circumstance around it regarding the way that the Federal Reserve operates, but fundamentally, at the end of the day, when the government spends money, it is creating money. And the way that the government creates demand for that money is by forcing people to pay taxes. Now, poor people just need money to survive, to pay rent and pay for food and things like that. So their demand for money is already as high as it can possibly be. But rich people, they have the ability to devalue dollars by investing in things like real estate, investing in things like stocks and bonds. And whenever rich people start to shift their money away from cash and onto these capital assets, that is what causes inflation, and that is what deflates the value of money itself. So the role of taxation, theoretically, is to increase the demand for money, and the easiest way to do that is to increase taxes for rich people, and especially to increase taxes for corporations, because, and I know a lot of corporations like to ignore this fact, but the reality is the higher taxes are on corporations, the more incentive they have to increase wages, to increase benefits, and to hire more people. Because, and this is where it gets really wild, corporations can get lots of tax deductions for hiring more people or putting in place benefit programs. So when you increase their taxes, the relative cost of hiring more people actually goes down. So yeah, the idea that rich people pay more taxes is already a joke. But on top of that, they should be paying more taxes. They should be paying the overwhelming majority of taxes. And in fact, I would argue that anybody that's making at or less than the cost of living shouldn't be paying any taxes at all. Because once again, their demand for cash is already the maximum that it could possibly be. And so if you really want to curb inflation and make the economy run, you gotta tax the people who have tons of extra money who are making our dollars worth less.
This is Ben Carolla with Rebel Headquarters. You can catch my show Galaxy Brain.
Thank you. I thought that was pretty good. I mean, hey, we all know that the deck is stacked against us. I mean, why? I don't know when it changed, but why do people that make nothing have to pay taxes on Social Security that they paid into? I don't get it. I don't understand it. But so what are you all guys talking about? Yes, good. I just did this on the fly, babies, but I got more. So okay. I'm going to segue a little bit into politics and then a little bit into the Arctic, a little bit about IPCC, but we're going to do our big show with the team this weekend. We're working it out. I couldn't do it Saturday, Sunday. I'm really sorry. I was too sick. Manchin is another ghoul. They're all ghouls. Well, not all of them. Bernie's not. But people want to argue about that because everyone is gaslit every which way on the planet. Okay? Everyone is propagandized. I don't care who you think you are. I don't care if you think you're right. We all are propagandized, okay? Every single last one of them, and it's happening all over the world. And there was a whole Twitter on the Russian people that are influencers that are all using the same script. It was hilarious. I can't find it. I suppose if I looked for it, but okay. So I'm gonna move over. And I wanted to talk about really quickly Lee Camp because Lee is really upset over losing RT. And I have a couple of comments I want to make about that. All right. And I always asked, what with this whole RT thing and all Russian television, he's all upset. They're upset. They lost their money. There's no money for Russia to pay them. Okay. And he's talking about how he has he had the freedom to say what he wanted, which, yeah, and that's cool, right? Okay. We choose some propaganda outlets because we like their messages. Sure. Exactly. There's no problem. This is the way it is. I'm just saying, everybody thinks they're not propagandized, and they are. So when I was listening to Lee today, I mean, he's really upset about this whole thing. And because at RT, Russian television owned by Russia, my question was always, well, we have RT. What do they have in Russia? I mean, seriously, like, what do they have in Russia? Do they have AT, American television? I don't know, and I don't think so. Plus, I watch some Russian YouTubers, and they talk about where they go and all kinds of cool things. And it was like, they're buying stuff and all. But they didn't have the free speech that Lee Camp had on Russia television here, okay? So he can find it again. He's getting a platform. He'll be okay. But they're upset. He has a net worth, it says here, of 1.5 million. So he makes about 100 grand a year. I mean, he's going to be okay. And RT, oh, well, it's casualty of war. And so I'm going to move over. I just wanted to say that. It just struck me because they're so upset, and I never understood. And I know there's some really good people on RT, but I never understood it, and they say they had free speech. So why would Russia allow all of these people here to have free speech, but not in their own country? It's a question. It's not any kind of commentary on any of them. It's just a commentary on, it was sort of hypocritical because we wouldn't be able to go to Russia, and have an American, I think there was one, but it wasn't like here. So we're going to segue because I really have not much more to comment other than he'll be okay. He'll land on his feet. He has a message, and he'll be able to say what he wants. He will. I mean, I have some thoughts about why they could say what they want, why they think they don't have free speech. But listen, even those truckers that are driving around Washington, D.C., I'm sorry, in my estimation, they are clueless fucking morons, wasting petrol. It's expensive. It's ridiculous. And all these mandates and their freedoms are going, I mean, it's all changing, and they should just go home right now. You wanna demonstrate about something? Let's look at what's going on in the fucking Arctic. Let's look at what's going on with climate change, but they'll never do that. Okay? So I pulled up the Arctic news on Facebook, and people are talking about the resolution and Russian oil ban and all that, but I'm not going to go into everything, here. I'm going to segue over here because what I want to show you is that everybody in the world has their IPCC report YouTube, okay? There's a bunch of them, but nothing like ours, and ours is coming. So you can watch anybody here. They're great. Some of them are, and I look at the comments. Oh, he had someone on today talking about, he's getting 11,000 views. What are we going to get? I can't build this up to that. And that's not even a lot for his message. But anyway, that's the IPCC stuff. So what I'm going to finish with, and I don't know, did anybody do this article? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. That was just something I pulled up. Again, I'm speculating. I think he's going to land on his feet. I think they're all going to land on their feet. All the people that were paid. They're not being paid. They wonder why they're not being paid. Well, there's sanctions on Russia. They can't get paid. They can't get paid. And so boom, they're laid off. There's no more money. Okay. All right. And I saw Lee in Washington, D.C. one year. So, I mean, he's a real guy. He had an 8-year good run. And he did get paid. I would imagine he got paid really well. All right. So did anybody read Hunziker? And I'm going to close up with this. The new Counterpunch climate breakdown. Anybody do it? Because I'm waiting to hear your comments. Well, I'm going to do it. And let me see. I'm going to pick something to play very low underneath reading. It seems to be kind of cool. I like that. Let's see. Do I want this one? I don't know which one yet. No, I don't want that one. That's too happy. Let's find one. I didn't set this up. Okay, here we go. All right. Since nobody's saying this, all right. The IPCC has issued its direst, and I like Robert Hunziker, its direst warning of all time. Climate breakdown is accelerating rapidly. Additionally, they're readily admit to overly conservative predictions. Many impacts will be more severe than originally predicted. The crowning blow of this heavy-hitting report is a chilling statement. There's only a narrow chance left of avoiding its worst ravages, which is for fuck, guys. Moreover, the IPCC claims that even at current levels of dangerous, widespread disruptions threaten devastation of swaths of the natural world, many areas will become unlivable. Interestingly enough, the world is fully aware that climate change is on a collision course with life and taxes. At some level, people know this. This is true because of media exposure of organized climate marches and protests across the globe for decades. It's doubtful that you could find one person that has not heard about global warming and climate change, although almost all choose to ignore the details. Indigenous people, they live with it on a daily basis. The climate change global warming story is decades old, and my background has proven it. However, what's different now is the emphasis and the tone of the IPCC. Clearly, climate scientists are running scared of what the future holds. There's no more time to waste. The window to do something is rapidly closing. All of which leads to the conclusion that the warning, as dreadful as it sounds, by one of the most noteworthy institutions in the world, may not be enough to change the course or the curse of climate change soon enough. Nope. For example, some things never change. The climate change global warming issue, it's been a storyline for too long, worn thin and not taken as seriously as the situation warrants. It's a hackneyed complexity that people easily brush off. Oh, sure. People will talk about it on the radio and comment about how horrible things are, yada, yada, yada. Greta Thunberg effectively used that phrase in reference to all the hot air at climate conferences. And she was right to couch it that way because the greenhouse gases far outpace any kind of mitigation efforts by nation states. In reality, greenish tokenism is all that's been accomplished. That's it. So according to the IPCC, the International Energy Agency, Paris, July 2021, press release, global electricity demand is growing faster than renewables, driving strong increase in generation from fossil fuels, notably coal, threatening to push CO2 emissions from the power sector to record levels in 2022. Meanwhile, surging demand has fossil fuels at $100 a barrel and headed in that direction well before Russia invaded Ukraine. Spending for oil and gas exploration is on the rise as CO2 rises in tandem, knocking on the door of 420 ppm for the first time in human history. Lo and behold, it's accelerating. Does that mean nobody is serious enough about mitigating the impact? Sure looks that way, as the most recent year-over-year change in CO2 emissions from February 2021 at 416 to February 2022 at 419 plus 3.2 ppm, or 28% above the last 10-year average. So CO2 growth or ppm year data for 60 years from the Keeling curve demonstrate decadal average annual rates registered at Mauna Loa Observatory. Elevation 11,135 feet on the north flank of Mauna Loa volcano on the Big Island. So over the last 60 years, see how we've gone up? I don't have my point, but this is it. Okay? So we keep going up and up and up. Up and up and up. Over the past 60 years, CO2 has increased every decade. And of even more concerns, right? Acceleration has picked up steam since the turn of the 21st century. Recent CO2 measurements at Mauna Loa are at an all-time new record high. Furthermore, today's rate is 250% above its average annual rate, plus 0.91 ppm from 50 to 60 years ago. So as of March 2022, there is no evidence that mitigation efforts have slowed down the rate of increase of CO2, even though scientists and the IPCC have been warning of these excessive levels of CO2 in the atmosphere for decades. In fact, Dr. James Hansen, Columbia University, but with NASA at the time, warned the U.S. Senate of threatening greenhouse gases way back in the 80s, a warning that made New York Times headlines. A perspective on the growth of CO2 is provided by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, and Scripps Institution of Oceanography. Today's rate of increase is more than 100 times faster than the increase that occurred when the last ice age ended. Well, what does that mean? It means urgent mitigation must be employed or buckle up. Here's what 100 times faster looks like. According to Dr. Katie Walter Anthony, aquatic ecosystem ecologist and professor, Water and Environmental Research Center, University of Alaska in Fairbanks, it was 14,000 years ago as the climate warmed when permafrost, thermokarst lakes flared up on the landscape, bringing foresea warming over a period of 8,000 years. But nowadays, according to Dr. Anthony, a similar foresea warming will likely occur over only 80 years, which is 100 times faster than 14,000 years ago. And that source is right there. He puts all his sources in. He's an academic writer. He knows his shit. So when will foresea happen, right? Answer: nobody knows for certain, but Dr. Anthony suggests unless strong mitigation efforts are taken, which means not flying behind me, which is bullshit, because that ain't going to stop because I was at the airport. Is foresea above pre-industrial a killer? Lights out? Indeed. Humanity is playing with fire. It is. Already, the IPCC warning contains a long list of potential horror stories, especially if global temperatures are allowed to exceed 1.5 pre-industrial versus 1.2 today, from shortages of food and water owing to climate change, and even at current levels of temperatures, to mass die-offs of species, including die-offs of trees and corals. As key ecosystems like rainforests, they lose carbon sink capacity. They become sources of carbon emissions directly into the atmosphere in concert with trees, planes, and cows in a powerhouse CO2 fest. Under those circumstances, Earth's innate beauty, it becomes unrecognizable. The degree of danger has become so unbearably conclusive to climate scientists that they are letting it all hang out. For example, Dave Ray, the director of Edinburgh Climate Change Institute at the University of Edinburgh, said, like taking a wrecking ball to a set of global dominoes, climate change in the 21st century threatens to destroy the foundations of food and water security, smash onwards through the fragile structures of human and ecosystem health, and ultimately shake the very pillars of human civilization. A feature story in the February 28th edition of the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering and Medicine by Megan Lowry is entitled Latest IPCC Report says, pretty much we're fucked. Okay. In a statement released today, IPCC Chair Ho-Sung Lee said the report is a dire warning about the consequences of inaction. It shows that climate change is a grave and mounting threat to our well-being and a healthy planet. Our actions today will shape how people adapt and nature responds to increasing risks. All right? The IPCC report also finds that nature, these nations, they're not doing enough to reduce emissions and protect themselves from climate hazards, and few countries escape unscathed, right? Based upon several unnerving descriptions in the IPCC report, one would expect the world community to convene an emergency, all hands on deck meeting with checkbooks, I had one, checkbooks in hand to fund a rapid transition to a fossil-free world. Otherwise, IPCC warnings of destruction of the core sources of life on this planet will materialize, and maybe sooner than expected. In the chilling words of the authors of the report, the assessment report is the sixth since the IPCC was first convened by the UN in 1988 and may be the last to be published while there is still some chance of avoiding the worst. So repeating the statement, while there is still some chance of avoiding the worst, is a message of foreboding that reverberates across land and sea. All of which, for the first time since humans gathered around fires, depends upon humanity to defend, protect, and husband. Will it happen soon enough? Here's what the failure of countries to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions has wrought. New York Times, March 1st headline. These climate scientists are fed up and ready to go on strike. According to the article, evidence on global warming is piling up. Nations aren't acting. Some researchers are asking, what difference will more reports make? Climate scientists on strike? Who could blame the scientists for frustration and anger when record-setting CO2 emissions follow in the footsteps of 26 COPs and 6 assessment reports, all starting in 1988, and decades of warnings of the leaders of the free world foretelling? So what do you think? That was pretty damn good, and he always writes a pretty damn good article, I think. Pretty goddamn good. Don't you think so? I wonder if I could find any more. What are we talking about here? Let's see, guys. What do you think? Yeah, checkbook. I had my checkbook over here. Hey, Jack. Hi, BB. Yeah, inaction. Isn't that America's middle name? And boy, I hate to be this way. And we're in a fucking... the whole planet is crazy, I'm not even going to talk about Vladimir Putin and Ukraine and all that. Everybody else is. I think it's horrible. And I understand the whole situation. I understand both sides, but I'm not going to talk about it. So, all right. The heck with the what? Blame me. All right, what do you guys... Hi, Kangaroo Island TV. Let's see. Huge floods. Oh, yeah. On East Coast Australia have come just as our federal election looms and the climate-denying conservative government is finally set to face some music. Glad I'm better. Yeah, for the most part, I feel better, thank you. It's great. It's great. No, we're not happy. We're not happy. The leaders are ready to nuke the world, not save it. You fucking ain't right. So, in the long run, do I pay those taxes? I think that is that's the question. I started out with the tax question. Okay. Do I pay them? I'd like to know. Okay. Well, yep. We are going to have to pay a pretty high damn price for the free world. Yeah, don't go anywhere. And being in Florida, and everybody bitching about oh my God, about the gas prices. I'm not leaving. I had to put gas in my vehicle today to go to the doctor because, COVID's over. So now there's no more telemedicine, right? Yeah. Put the taxes. I know, but I can't do the payment plan. You have to be able to do something. My basement's flooding. I'm already trading my Harley for that if the guy still wants to do it so he will stop the flooding. Yep. Called downsizing. Hopefully he does it. He offered it. I can't be living like vacuuming a wet basement and towels every time it rains. All right, guys. Well, I think it was a good show. All right. I'll find out. I'll get more. There's somebody else involved in it too, but he's not going to do it. Trust me. Trust me. So I don't think there's anything else. It's not over. They're saying it's over, that we're going endemic. No, it's not over. But like Hambone says, Florida is the oasis of freedom. I was down there, so I saw. I don't think anybody is thinking it's totally over. I watched the virologist. I'll learn. I didn't get to watch last week, so I don't know what they're saying. We'll see. All right, guys. Peace out. I don't know if I'm going to do the morning show. If I feel good enough to set it up, I will, because I do really want to do a sick office show, but I don't know if I have enough research yet. Or I may just come on like this and we wing it. And we could look and see what's going on. Yeah. You know what? Seriously, I think that I was looking, there were 3 times I was looking. Haitian, when they needed help, and Yemen, they do need help, and now Ukrainians. Maybe that's the way to go. Where I live, oh my God, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm talking about where I live, But I thought about it. Yeah, I know you don't get up that early, Kim, but thank you very much for doing this. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see. It is. Say, I'm behind the times. I was in Florida, and, N95. I wore an N95 in the airport. And on the plane, because you have to. So why not? I don't want to get that shit. Oh, God. Yeah, we're all going to need some help. I hear you. But you know what? Let me end with this. I was looking at the YouTubers that do make money and all, and I thought maybe I should come on, but I don't have one, with a MAGA hat, and maybe I should just start spouting like racist shit and ugly shit and tell people they suck and fuck you. You should give me money because I deserve it. I thought maybe I need to change the whole show and grift like everybody else is doing. All right, guys. No, I have a buy me a coffee, sweetheart. She's asking. Yeah, or just, that it supports the show, basically. What I get, and it's a very nice, and I'm not complaining because some very generous people. It's not like what other YouTubers do at all. It's not even enough to pay for all of the subscriptions because, these are ebbs and flows. They're ebbs and flows. So I have a whole thing, you can become a subscriber. Yeah. You have no clue. I will tell you why. I have to tell you offline because I will, but you'll get it. You'll see why the little guy gets screwed continually all the time. All right, guys, I love you. And maybe I'll get a second wind and set up something for the morning in my coffee clutch, But I don't know if I have that kind of research, so I don't know. We'll see. Thanks for coming. It was fun. I feel better. Did a lot of crying this week and a lot of pain and a lot of sadness. And I don't want to have that every day. I need a purpose, and you're my purpose, and my cats, and my friends, and my kid. You know, I got to have a purpose. Yep. Yeah, I don't need a sump pump. I need the whole front drain redone what I did. I'll show you the videos. They've seen them. I know what it needs, but thank you guys. I love you. And yes, Anthony, R.I.P. to all the loved ones we've lost. Anthony, me, we've lost people. We've all lost. But you know what? They're the lucky ones.